which every datasets has, and the Excel users find their solution on different platforms. So let us start how to do descriptive analytics based on a dataset. And I will be going through each and every step. This video is a bit long, so you have to focus very carefully all the concepts which I will be telling you. I will tell you the limitations of the functions. Then I will also be giving you the solutions to manipulate the data in such a way that we can find the answers of our questions. And also we will show you, if you have Excel 365 version, so how it is easy to do that in is your specific career. Here, this data consists of five columns. This data consists of five columns: employee number, employee name, the functions or departments that person belongs to, date of birth, and date of admission. Okay, now we need to do descriptive analytics. And we have given the questions, let's say from a manager, and he wants to find out these things from the data. So, as a data analyst or a business analyst, our key role is to do the descriptive analytics on this particular data set. So, the first question is that get the 10 eldest members based on the old admission date column. Okay. So, we need to extract 10 eldest members, then 10 youngest members based on date of admission. That will be technically new admissions, and then 10 eldest members based on date of birth. Then again 10 youngest member based on date of birth. And then we have to find what are those who are those employees which has a birthday in this month. So I am recording this video in the month of June to 2025, and I will tell you the logic how to find them and also to see the anniversary of all those employees in this month as well. Right? So these are six technical questions, or you can say descriptive analytics we want to perform. And there will be a lot of techniques and tips and tricks in this video available regarding the functions and formatting as well. So let's get started. We will be extracting the data right here so that we can compare the data set to selections. And you can see on one screen. So first we need to find the 10 dates, eldest dates based on the date of admission, and 10 eldest members names. Okay. So you know that first such kind of information you apply reference functions such as the most common is VLOOKUP. Gradually, if there are some limitations, you switch to index and match. Or if you have Excel 365, you can use XLOOKUP as well, right? So what I will be doing is I will be keeping it to index and match so that you can understand. And index and match is available almost in all Excel versions above 2010. Okay, so let's get started. First, we need to extract the dates, right? And we will see what are those limitations which we faced during the analytics. So earliest dates means old dates. So we will be using a function called small. But before that, you remember that whenever we will be using functions and defining the functions arguments, because the data set is long and we have to select the entire columns and then get back to that particular logic. I mean, that consumes a lot of time. That consumes a lot of time and efforts also. And technically, when our logics get longer, it will create a mess for us to understand. So the best practice is before applying any logic here, let's select the entire data. Okay. And then we will go to the insert tab where we will click on a table on table. So what we are doing is technically we are converting our data into a structural format. Okay. Make sure you check mark my table as headers. Click OK. And now let's give a name to it. So on the table design tab, which is on the right side, you will go there, and by default this table name is table 1. So let's keep it simple. Let's write our data for our understanding. You can define any customized name you want, but I prefer a easier and I can remember for a longer time, okay? Now, after defining this data as a table, let's go to the dates column. And here we will be defining a logic equals to small array. Array will be from the data table. We have to select the date of admission, and we want the 10 earliest dates, okay, from the data sets. So I will not be writing 1, 2, 3 manually. Here I will be creating a logic that will create numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so I will be using the rows function. You can pick any cell from here. Any cell, either it is empty or not empty, doesn't matter. The rows function will generate the number of rows defining in that array. And we will keep it as a dynamic. Means the first cell will be absolute and the second will be relative. So that when this formula will go downwards, this will expand the range and the numbers will get increased. So at this particular point of time, the rows function will generate 1. When it goes down, it will generate 2 automatically because the range will get expanded. Okay, let's enter, and it gives me the 1st January 72. 1972 is the oldest date. Okay, you can just copy and paste here. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And one more. All right. So now when I copy and paste this formula, this logic it gives me, I just drag and drop here to the 10 cells because I want the 10 eldest member names. So, right? But what happens? There are two admissions on the same date. That is January 78th, 1978. Okay. There are two admission on the same date, and that happens because so many members come on the same date of admission. So definitely those will be two different names on the same date, right? So let us see how we are going to achieve this, or if there is any limitation. So I will be using the index in match function. So equals to index. Now in the index, the array is the selection of column where you want the output to be. So we need basically member's name, that is employee name, that is technically in the date table, and we need employees names. Then we will be using match function. What we need to match is definitely the location of the dates which we have extracted. So in this cell we have the K17 as a lookup value. Lookup array will be the date of admission from the date column, and that is exact match we want. Okay, so we got the first name Hunter Lopez on the 1st of January 1972. Let's copy and paste this. Control D. Now what happens is that if you see on the 1st January 1978, there were two admission, but it is the limitation of VLOOKUP index and match or the XLOOKUP is that it returns the same value. It cannot goes to the different occurrence based on the similar lookup value. That's the problem which these reference functions have. Okay. And to minimize this particular issue, we need to create some helper columns and then to revise the formula. So I hope you understood that what happens and what is the issue here, that on 1st of January 1978, there were two admissions of two different names. But technically, the index and match is just providing the output of the first occurrence. It is not giving the second occurrence value or a third occurrence value. Okay, that happens with XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP as well. So we need to handle this issue. So if technically, if I talk about this is the first name and this is the second, third, right, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, this is the eighth because it's same, and this is the ninth. So what was the question? That we leave the 10 eldest members based on old admission, right? But we have technically, if you count these names, these is 10 names, but because one name keeps on repeating, so we can say that as an analytical point of view, we have extracted the 9 names, right? And this is based on simple index and match function. Now, how to resolve this issue? So let's say now for all of those who do not have their Excel 365 version, so what I can do is if you are using index and match or XLOOKUP in this particular kind of issue, and this issue is very common faced by not just by HRM professionals, but I mean if you are in finance, sales, marketing or admin, these kind of duplication issue comes in, right? So for all those users who want to use index and match or XLOOKUP, you have to add one helper column. You can define this name as you like the header, and what will be going to say is we will create a logic in such a way that each date of admission will get its counts and that how many times it has been came up row wise. Okay, so for that we need to use the countif function equals to countif. So this is from a starting point in E6. So the range would be dynamic E6 colon E6 comma. Criteria will be same E6 and the first cell here will be absolute. So press F4 to make a dollar sign. And if you see this kind of issue, just select the column, press Control 1 and select the type general. Okay. All right. So let's ignore these errors. So what technically count if is doing here? See, the first record is of the 3rd of January 1992. It is coming one time here at this occurrence, but when it is repeat, it gives 2 here because it is second time occurrence in these 3 rows, right? So similarly, what countif is doing is it is basically counting each individual value in each row and producing a count number that how many times it has been occurred, and it gives an increment of it. Okay, so this is the helper column which we need. And now this column has a duplicates. This column also has a duplicates. We need to make the helper column in such a way that it should work like you can say primary key or based on unique values. So we will be joining our ampersand with this date of admission, which is again E6, and press the enter key. So we got a new column based on two logics, the countif and the concatenation of date of admission. Right now, with this particular logic, we will be applying an index and match. Okay. So let's find the eldest members here. Now with the new logic, so equals to index, and what we need as an array, we need the member names or employee names from the data table. Match. What we need to match is we need to match this particular date, but in a different style now. So we need to add the count if function counter function get this date which is in K17 column K17 comma K17. Okay, bracket close, join with this particular date, then lookup array will be the new column which we have added. So in the data table, we have added the helper column, and that would be exact match. Make sure that you absolute this particular first cell. All right. Let's press the enter key. And now let's copy and paste Control D. So now as you can see that in the previous limitation, Jack LeBron was coming 2 times, but now we got the second person name on the similar date of admission on 1st January 17th. That is Jaco Brand, right? S- So we got the two different names doing some change in the index and match strategy based on helper column in the data set as well. So this is how you resolve the multiple occurrence or different results based on same lookup values as you saw here. And this is the most common issue which is faced by many different individuals in different functions or on their data sets, right? So I have solved this first issue, and I hope you understood that how by doing some different tweaks with your helper columns and logics can give the correct results. Now These are the 10 names because I can write 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the question was that we need 10 eldest members based on old admissions. So, primarily with the first logic, we got the 9 names, but now we have the 10 names, right? But let us say, if I technically change a question in a different way, that we need the eldest members, but based on 10 eldest dates. Because previously our focus was 10 eldest members, no matter if the dates are being keep on repeating. So, but now we need 10 eldest dates. So we don't need the dates to be repeated. We need different dates. Okay, so for that, let's create a bit of modification in the dates logic. And also, let me tell you how we extracted the date with the help of function called small and rows, right? So we need to get the 10 unique dates, 10 eldest dates. Okay, so for that, we will be using the small with now, if, and frequency as well. So we will be using small if frequency, and we will add here from the data table date of admissions, comma, again from the data table date of admission, okay, bracket close, not equal to 0, comma, again, value if true, data table at date of admission, bracket close, comma, then rows, logic rows from A1 to A1. Make sure that you keep the first cell absolute by pressing F4 and then close the bracket at the end. And we got the 1st January 72, which we got here as well. Let's copy and paste downwards. So this time, if you can see the significant difference here in the dates, these are similar, but when we go to the 1st January 78, 2 times coming here, but this is 1 time here and it surpasses to the next eldest date. Okay. And we got our one more new date. Now, we know that on the 1st January 78, we have two people, two different people, right? And it could happen in any of the date. Could be more than 2, 3 people right here. So now for those of you who have an Excel 365, we will be using the filter function, adding the text join for multiple outcomes. Okay, so how we are going to do that? The text join, let me add a delimiter, which is comma space, ignore empty cells. So we will have true. Let us add a filter function in the array. We need to define what output we want. So we need from the data table employee name, okay? And now in the include, we need to define the criteria. So in the data table, select the date of admission column, which should be equal to this particular date, which is in P17, and close the bracket. So we got the similar result as we did with the index match and countif. But it is here, it is different with text join and filter, right? And let's copy and paste. And you will see a significant difference as you compare to the previous solution. So let us press Ctrl D, and now you can see that on the 1st January 1978, we have two different names coming in one cell. So we can see, okay, there are two people got the admission on the same date. And then we have now other names as well. So I mean, there is a, if, I mean, if there is a little bit change in the analytical question, your entire logics will get definitely changed here as well, right? So this is how we have completed the solution for the first question, that is to get the 10 eldest members based on the date of admission. Okay. Now let us proceed to the other questions. All right. So now let us move to the next question. 10 youngest members based on new admission. All right. So youngest members, 10 youngest members based on the date of admission. So now we will not be creating logic from the very scratch, but we can just copy the previous logic. Let's say for the dates, copy this logic and paste here, but we need to do certain changes like because it is being telling us the youngest members are based on new admission. So instead of a small, we will put large here. Okay, and press the enter key. And let us paste for 10 rows. So 16th of October is the latest date and we can verify it. In the 2nd of October is the second highest and we can verify going to the date of admission. Okay, and open this drop down menu. You can see 2025 is the latest year, June is the latest month, and this is the latest date. And then the 2nd of October, right? So this means that the logic which we have applied is correct here. Let me show you again. So what we are trying to fetch is that the top 10 dates based on the newest admission date of admissions. Now it could happen that if any date could be repeat. Now again, if that repeats, I have already told you how to do certain changes with dates. If you want, otherwise, you can go with the similar logic. So 10 youngest numbers, because the analytical point is that we just need 10 members. If the date is repeating, this means that on that particular date, there are more than 2 members has got the admission, right? So now how to extract that information? It's simple. It is simple because dates are now unique. So we can apply the traditional approach of index and match directly. But remember that if the date gets duplicated, then again you need to take the help from this helper column. And you have to solve like this, like in this way. Okay? All right. So what we are going to do is we will be solving in both the ways so that you can understand in detail. So let us start the index and match in the simplest way. Index what we want as a return, so we need the number name of the all those employee names and row number. So we will be adding match function. Let us locate the date which is in K31. Cup array will be from the data table date of admission column, and that would be an exact match. And let's close the bracket, copy and paste, and we got all the 10 youngest members based on recent dates. Okay. Now, if let us suppose the date is being repeating, we know that it will have a limitation of giving the same name, right? Which we have saw before. So a better is to use the index and match in a different style. Okay. So let us add here second solution. So we will say index. What we required is the name of the employees from the data table, and then we start with the match for count. If so, we start counting if from this particular cell, which is K31 colon, again same cell and same criteria that will generate our numbers. And we will join with this particular date. Make sure that the first cell will remain absolute. Then the lookup array for the match function is the helper column, which we have defined in the data table we so that will be helper column and then exact match 0. Close the bracket and press the enter key. Now you can see the both solutions of index match will differentiation of adding the helper columns is giving the same kind of results. Okay, so I hope you understood. If you face any kind of issue, I have already given you the alternate to it. Okay. All right. So 10 youngest members based on new admission. Now 10 eldest members again based on our date of birth. Now this time not on date of admission but date of birth. So let's create this. So let me copy this. The dates 10 eldest members. So again, I will not create a logic from this stage, but I will copy the same thing. And I am trying to making you learn that how to save your time and customize once you have understood it. So instead of date of admission, what we need to change here, the date of birth. Okay, so uh, press the enter key and we just need 10 records. All right. So now you can see these are all different dates. Yes, but if it is a similar date, you know that the name would be technically repeat. And then you have to apply the different strategy. But in this case, it is not there. Okay, all right. So let's apply index and match. What we need is from the data table, we need employee's name based on the date, which is in K46. Lookup array with the will be data table, date of birth this time, and for exact match 0. And let us copy and paste this, right? So all the different names are coming here. But remember, as I repeat again, that if the dates are similar and the names are keep on repeating, so I have already told you about that solution here in the situation 1. So you have to go to the alternate approach, okay? Taking the helper column, and this time there will be a new helper column because the existing helper column is based on date of admission. But when you find that issue, so you have to create another helper column for the date of birth, okay? And then use it. But if you have Excel 365, that will be easier for you to do, not need helper columns in the filter for filter functions to get the names as well. I mean, these are the benefits of the latest version in. So we got the 10 eldest members. Now the next question, which is the question number 4, is 10 youngest members based on date of birth. Then we will be solving birthday in this month and the anniversary in this month, okay? Going to do is we will copy the logic here from the above scenario paste here, and instead of a small we need to convert it into a large. Let's copy for 10 rows. If anything is being repeating here and not here, so also let's copy the logic from the above scenario, copy and paste, and instead of K46 we have the date here, K61, right? And let us copy and paste the logic, and we got the names as well, okay? So 10 new members based on their date of birth. All right. So let's proceed further. I have also added the second solution. Why? Second solution because as I told you that if you fetch the dates and the if any date is keep on repeating multiple times, so you will face the similar name here. So to get rid of this, what I did was I have created another helper column based on date of birth. Again, the same logic which we did for the date of admission. So we have now two helper columns, and based on these helper columns, we can use index and match in a different style. So as you can see here, so if in case you find a similar name on a similar date and you want to get rid of that issue, you have to use in this way. Okay, so I have added a second solution as well. Similarly, for the second alternate solution for 10 new members, now let's proceed towards the question 5 and 6. We need to find the names of the people who have birth in this month, in the anniversary in this month. So I am recording this video in June 2025, and I need to locate that. For those of the people who have date of birth in the month of June, there needs to be get filtered right now. I will make you understand the logic in a simplest way, first by adding a helper column, and then we will be doing it in the function. Okay, so let's apply a logic. Let's write a name BD for birthday, and we will be using the logical function, and that is if, and in the logical test we will say that apply the text function, give us today date, and basically the today function returns the current date of which is set on your our system. So we want today date and we just need a month out of it. So we have nested with the text function. So to extract the month from the today date, that will technically give the June, right? And we are going to say that if it equals to text, the value will be the date of birth cell, okay, which is D6. So D6, and also extract the month from this date. So if these both are equivalent, okay. So for the first logic is producing June and the second logic is also producing June. So these two things will match with each other and the value if true will be populative. So we want yes in value if true and no in value if false. This is a simple logic which I have created. So in this particular column, you can find either yes or no. Now here it is yes, because if the date of birth pertains to the June, So if I filter, let's say, if I open this filter menu and if I just select yes, this means that this column has been filtered by all those employees who have their birthday in the month of June. And we have 24 people, right? And what happens is with this particular logic is that, for example, if I proceed to the next month, that is July, so technically the result of yes and no will change automatically, okay? So what will happen that today function will return the date of month of June that will match with the in the date of birth column, and if June is equals to June, then it will say yes, and if so every month it will get automatically updated. All right, so this was just to understand the logic. So but we need to add in our analytics. So definitely let's proceed. How we can extract all those employees names who have birthday in this month. So I have already told you the helper column logic, so we will solve it by two solutions. First with index and match, and then we will try with filter. So with index, what we need is we need the employee names from the data table, and in the match lookup value will be yes, and it will going to match from the data table. And from BD column birthday, where we have created the logic, and for exact match 0, close the bracket. So as you can see here, we got the first name, and let's copy and paste. Now what happens with index and match, that it is giving just the first name. Now as you can see, the limitation here, what it is doing here is that it is just giving the first entry of yes limitation. You need to understand with the either even with the VLOOKUP or index or match, because it returns the first occurrence. Even if you use XLOOKUP, it will return the first occurrence, not the other names, right? So now what you need to do is, again, you need to add one helper column that will generate number with yes. And then you need to use the logics, which I have already told you in above scenarios. So that is creates more and more helper columns, which will increase the size of your data. And I mean, if you have the large data sets, that will technically a problem for you. So going very, very traditionally and finding these kind of issues. I hope you understood that issue. So let's apply the filter function, which is in Excel 365. What we want is from the data table employee names, and we need to filter all the records from the data table BD column, which are equivalent to yes. And let's close the bracket. So see, the filter function gives you all those different names. As previously we saw the limitation of the index and match function. So this is technically a good improvement for all those users who have the latest version. I mean, that saves a lot of our time and doing some extra working as well. And if you want the count, so what you can do is copy this and paste here and just write a write the count a function here and close the bracket and change the format to general. So it says that there are 24 people who have birthday in this month, and these are the names here, right? So easy. Let's move to the next scenario, anniversary in this month. So let's copy this text box. Let's go somewhere here and rename this as anniversary in this month. Okay. So now for that anniversary in this month, we also need the helper column. We will not be adding any helper column. Let's say we will be using the no, I mean utilizing in the filter function. Okay, so all right. So equals to filter. What we are required is we need the employee names from the data table. Okay, and who has the anniversary in this month. So we will say that date on the date of admission. Okay, so for those admission which took place in the month of June this year or any year. So because we are talking about anniversary in this month, so we will go to the data table, date of admission, okay, and should be equivalent to text today, comma, we need to accept month, okay, and also we will add here text, and we will say that extract the month here from here should be equivalent to today, date, and give the month close the bracket. And that's it. We got all of those who have the anniversary in this month. Okay. And let's say, so in this particular example, you find out that there is no need to use a dynamic array for formulas. You don't need to add the additional helper columns. I mean, that can be very easy. And for the count, let's copy this logic, paste, and let's add count of a function and close the bracket at the end. So there are 34 people who have anniversary in this month. I mean in June, right? So we will proceed to the July. It will automatically update. That's the advantage professionals who want to learn descriptive analytics with datasets. And I have covered the traditional approaches in different question as well as modern approaches as well. But concluding that if you have the latest version, that makes it will make your work very easier or simpler. So I hope you like this video. Thank you.